Forward head posture doesn't start in the head and the neck. It starts with a collapse elsewhere in the body. So when we collapse within our belly and our rib cage, then our shoulders internally rotate, and then our head and our neck shoot forwards. So we can't just start by addressing the head and the neck to fix the forward head posture. We need to address the cause, the collapse in the body, and then we can actually work in and around that affected area. So for many of us, our rib cage is chronically collapsed and dense, because when we're supposed to be breathing through the diaphragm, as we inhale, the ribs should actually be externally rotating, and then as you inhale, they'll internally rotate. So if we don't actually address this area first because we're so collapsed and we're not even accessing the diaphragm properly, we revert to breathing through the muscles in the upper chest, and these muscles get exhausted. And when we're chronically collapsed, it makes it easier for us to breathe when we shoot our head and our neck forwards, just to open up the airways to breathe. So what we're going to be doing is a fascia decompression technique to really release those adhesions that are yanking us down. Then of course we do need to start creating strength in all the right areas. So let's get started with this full posture routine to fix your forward head posture. First thing, let's grab your rolled up towel and let's start releasing the compression in the belly and teach you how to breathe diaphragmatically. So nice and slow, bring your rolled up towel flat on the floor, and nice and slow, bring your belly button directly over top of the towel. And now let's start up on the elbows like this, and let's start by connecting to the breath. As you inhale, expand your belly in towards the towel. And then as you exhale, start feeling that towel sinking a little bit deeper into your belly. And this is where more of that pain and the sensation will start to surface, which is actually a good thing. We want to find pain in the body because that's telling us we're restricted and blocked in this area. When the belly expands as you inhale, that's when you know you're accessing your diaphragm. And this may not happen overnight or right away, but really focus on connecting to your diaphragm and inhaling with that belly. Let's settle in. Let's connect to the breath. Let's try to inhale for 4 counts and then exhale for 6 counts. This is also going to help relax the body, calm the nervous system down a little bit, and just prep us for more of this routine that we're about to follow. With any of these positions that I'm showing you for fascia decompression, we want to spend a minimum of 3 to 5 minutes here. So once you've settled in and you want to find a little bit more pain, then you can do so, but respect your limits. Your breath is always your guide. If it's too painful, ease off slightly, reconnect at a less intensity. And if you're not feeling enough pain or sensation, then let's ramp it up and try to get a little bit deeper. So once you spent that 3 to 5 minutes here, place your hands under your shoulders, nice and slow. Let's exhale up and off. Now, before we move on to the next positions, just roll onto your back and just see if you can actually breathe consciously through the diaphragm. So as you're laid on your back, place your hands on your belly. As you inhale, feel the belly expanding. You should also feel your rib cage expanding with the breath. Then as you exhale, the belly should be getting smaller as well as the rib cage. So take 3, 5, even 10 breaths here just to get used to this breathing pattern, because we should honestly be breathing like this all the time. But it's very easy for us to forget because the diaphragm is the only muscle in our body that is both under our conscious and our unconscious control. We can breathe without thinking about it, but we can also be very conscious of how we're breathing, and that's the ticket. Now that we've addressed the diaphragm and the lower belly, let's jump up into the armpits, because this is where the shoulders really internally rotate, and we want to be able to release all of these restrictions and adhesions in this area to bring the shoulder joint now into that correct alignment. So grab your rolled up towel and let's start with the left side, and we're going to get right into the armpit position. So nice and slow, come on down to the towel just like this, right in that armpit. Bend your left arm and rest your head in your hand just as a starting position. Now connect to the breath. There's only 2 rules of doing these positions. As long as you're breathing, you're feeding and healing, and you're starting to actually release the connective tissue. And the second rule is spend a minimum of 3 to 5 minutes in each position to actually allow the connective tissue, the fascia, to release. So once you've settled in, nice and slow, start to search towards the front. And these aren't fast, quick movements. The slower we move, the deeper we're going to get, which is going to be more effective to release the connective tissue. And then once you spend 3, 5, 10 breaths here, nice and slow, come back to neutral, and then let's start searching towards the back. Now we're gonna be targeting the rotator cuffs, and this is very important because for a lot of us, they're bound, they're underutilized, or they're overutilized, and we wanna be able to relax them and settle the shoulder blades and the shoulder joint into that correct alignment. So once you spent about 3 to 5 minutes in this position, come back to neutral, place your top hand, your right hand in front of you, and exhale up and off, and then repeat this exact position on the right side for that 3 to 5 minutes. Now let's jump into a strengthening exercise. Bring the towel aside and lay flat on your front, and then bring the arms out to the side, but now directly overhead just like this. And what we want to do is start by protracting the shoulder blade. Now let's lift the arms up and off of the floor like this. And all we're going to do is, as we're having the arms and the hands hovered over the ground, bring them all the way behind you until you reach your butt, just like this. And then what we're going to do is bring them back up, keep them hovered over the ground, and then bring them back to that starting position. So that's one repetition. And what this is doing is starting to strengthen the muscles in the back and the upper back that aren't really getting worked. They're fatigued from being collapsed and the connective tissue trying to grip and bring you back into alignment, but they're also very weak. So that's why we need to start creating strength. So let's perform another repetition. Arms directly over your head. Now let's lift them up, and nice and slow, let's bring your arms all the way around and then wrap them behind your back, just on top of your butt or your low back. And then let's come on back and bring them back to that starting position. Try to perform 8 to 10 repetitions if you can, but of course I'll be giving you the full routine breakdown at the end. All right, so now let's jump into a position directly in that neck, because yes, these muscles, the connective tissue gets very dense, tight, and weak, and we want to be able to release that first before we do any more strengthening. So grab your rolled up towel, and we're going to start on the side of the neck. So let's start on the left side, but what we're going to be doing is rolling over to the front in the sternocleidomastoid muscles here that are shooting forwards. And for a lot of us, as I mentioned, they're weak or dense. So we need to release this to actually allow us to bring the head and the neck back into that neutral positioning. So lay on your left side, position the towel on the side neck, and let's start off by connecting to the breath. Settle in, and now very slowly, once you spent about 5 breaths here, let's start rocking and searching towards the front. And you're gonna feel a lot of that tension there. I was actually doing this position earlier today and I couldn't believe the tension. So now let's spend some time here. We're in no rush. Everybody tries to rush the melting or rush the releasing, but it takes a little bit of time. So now once you spent about a minute or 2 minutes in this position, focusing more on the side and the front part of the neck, let's come back to the neutral position, place your top hand in front of you nice and slow, and exhale up and off. And now let's repeat that same position on the other side because we're not symmetrical. And let's spend again 3 to 5 minutes in that position, starting on the side, searching in towards the front, and then let's jump into our next exercise. For this final position, we're going to be doing a 2-in-1 here. So we're going to be actually releasing the back of the neck while also restoring the natural curvature in the neck while we're connecting to a very specific muscle that you probably have never trained in your life, and it's the tongue muscle. But the tongue muscle is extremely important in actually supporting the head and the neck. It's extremely strong. You've probably heard, hey, it's the strongest muscle in the body. Well, it's not, but it is strong, and it can help you with your posture. So grab your rolled up towel, position it directly in the back of your neck, and now let's just settle into this position. For some of you, you don't have much of that natural curvature in your neck. So really take time, and you might have to unravel the towel a little bit, but that's okay. So now once you've settled in, connect to your breath. We always want to start there. Now this is how you connect your tongue muscle. Bring your tongue to the roof of your mouth, and you'll feel your teeth. Now bring your tongue about a centimeter distance away from your teeth, and you'll notice it naturally docking in that position in the roof of your mouth. Hold your tongue there, and don't force this with a lot of strength, but position it there. And now what you can do is start to apply more pressure into the towel as we're starting to release. So now once you have your tongue connected, nice and slow, start searching to the left. And let's spend about a minute or so to the left. And then once you've started to feel that release, let's come back to neutral, keep that tongue connected, and let's search over to the right. Again, spend another minute or so here while keeping the tongue connected. You'll probably notice that the left or the right side stores more pain than the other, and that's because, of course, we're not symmetrical. So if you feel more pain on either the left or the right side, spend more time there. So now let's come back to neutral and then nice and slow roll on over to one side and come up to a seated position. Okay, so this routine is very powerful. The fascia decompression component is probably the biggest takeaway you'll get from this video, but also the strengthening component. But that tongue muscle that I mentioned, you can connect your tongue at any time throughout the day. If you're working at a desk or seated at a desk and you're noticing that your head and your neck are shooting forwards, bring that rib cage into the correct alignment, connect the tongue, bring the shoulders back and down, and then work from that position. And strengthening the tongue will only help in your forward head posture. So now let's break down the full routine. Belly position. Spend 3 to 5 minutes here, then roll on over to your back and start connecting to the diaphragm and take 10 full breaths like this, just to get that diaphragm primed and warmed up. Then second, we're gonna be doing the armpit positions. Spend 3 to 5 minutes on each side. Then we're moving into the reverse flies. That's the one where we're laying flat on the front and we're bringing our arms all the way around and really strengthening the back muscles to actually help bring the body back and into that correct alignment. Then we move on to the side neck and the front neck positions, which is gonna feel amazing for you and you'll feel that release immediately in your neck. Then we finish off with that back neck position while connecting the tongue muscle and spend 3 to 5 minutes there. And whichever side is more painful, of course, you can spend more time there. We're all unique on how our tissue grips and holds and how dense we are. So for many of you, you can perform this routine daily and you'll probably see and feel results after that first day. But for others, it might take days or even weeks, and that's okay. This routine is a little bit longer, but it's much more effective than just stretching and then strengthening. We need to decompress and release the tissue that's locking and holding us out of alignment. So if you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And if you have any comments or ideas for future videos, leave that below, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.